These are ooey gooey caramel pecan sticky buns, made with a pillow soft and buttery cinnamon roll dough, glazed in a rich homemade caramel sauce, and topped with delicious pecans. Every bite is pure bliss. These are perfect for holiday mornings, any type of special occasion, or just when you're looking for a beautiful sweet treat. So let's get into it. The absolute first thing you want to do is make your starter. Now this is just a combination of 30 grams of water, 30 grams of flour, half a teaspoon of yeast, and you're going to mix this all together, cover it with plastic wrap, and place this in a warm place for an hour and a half. This is what's going to give those sticky buns that nice rise and that light and pillow soft texture. So make sure you allot some time to start with this. Now for this delicious sticky bun dough, you're going to need half a cup plus a third of a cup of warm milk, 2 teaspoons of instant dry yeast, 1 tablespoon of Greek yogurt, 2.5 tablespoons of white sugar, 1 egg, a cup and 3/4 of regular all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, your starter, this is what it looks like when it's nice and activated, and a 1/4 cup of butter, room temperature, cut up in small cubes. Now once your starter is nice and activated, you can go ahead and start making the dough. The first thing you want to do here is warm up your milk, want it to the temperature of a warm bath. And from there you're going to add in your Greek yogurt, your instant yeast, and your white sugar. You're going to give this a nice mix and set this aside for about 10 minutes until the yeast activates and gets bubbly. Now in a large bowl of your standing mixer, you're going to add in your flour and your baking powder and just give that a quick, good mix. Once your yeast is activated, it will look a little bit something like this. So you can see that it's nice and bubbly and frothy. And from there, you can add in your egg into this mixture and just give it a nice mix until it's all well and combined. And from here, you can grab your dry ingredients that you just mixed together, your flour and your baking powder, and you can add in your yeast mixture into your dry ingredients, as well as your starter. And you're just going to knead and mix this together until it's nice and consistent in the dough. And I forgot to add this at the beginning, but you'll need 1 tablespoon of cold water. And you're going to add this into your dough as it's nice and combining together. Now, as always, you might need to scrape the bottom of your bowl just to make sure that all the dough is getting well incorporated. And once you get that nice consistency, you can start adding in your butter incrementally. Just doing a few cubes of your room temperature butter at a time. And you want to knead this and mix this until all of the butter has fully combined into your dough. Now, as I was making this dough, I did notice that it was a little bit too wet. So if you see that it's sticking to your finger like that a lot, you can go ahead and add in a little bit more flour into your dough. You do want your dough to be moist, but if it's sticking to your hands like that, you do need to add a little bit more flour. To get to this nice consistency, where you can see it's still a little bit wet, but when I touch my finger onto the dough, it's not quite sticking. And that's the consistency that you're looking for with this dough. So from here, you're going to knead your dough for 10 minutes. And once your dough is done kneading, you're going to grab a large or medium-sized bowl, just oiling it lightly. And you're going to grab your kneaded dough, gently form it into a ball, place it into your lightly greased bowl, cover it with plastic wrap, and you're going to place this in a warm place. Let the dough rise for about an hour and a half, or until it's doubled in size. Now while the dough is rising, you can prepare your baking pan. So grabbing an 8x8 baking pan, placing a piece of parchment paper on top and lightly greasing it, and then you can set that aside. You can also go ahead and grab your 1.5 cups of pecans and roughly chop them. Place these in a bowl and you're going to set those aside as well. While the dough is rising, you can also make your Decadent caramel pecan sauce. For this, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of real maple syrup, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of cold heavy cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/2 cup of butter. Now you're going to grab yourself a medium-sized pot, and over low-medium heat, you're going to melt your butter in this pot. Once that butter is melted, you can add in your maple syrup, give that a nice stir, make sure it's all well and combined. And then you can go ahead and add in your brown sugar and give that a nice stir, and you're going to stir this very consistently throughout this process because we don't want the sugar to stick to the bottom. So mixing that until it's nice and combined and consistent in its texture, and you're just going to keep this on low-medium heat until it starts to bubble. Now you want to make sure that you're stirring this consistently. This process only takes a few minutes and it will start to bubble like this. Now, once it gets to this point, you're going to remove it from the heat, grab your cold 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and you're going to pour it into your mixture and stir it until it gets nice and well and combined, and until you get that nice golden brown color. After that, you can add in your vanilla and mix that to combine. I mean, look at this. How good does this look? And from there, you're going to grab your prepared baking pan and just directly pour in your caramel sauce into the bottom of this pan. You're going to grab your roughly chopped pecans and spread them on top of this caramel sauce, just spreading it evenly across your baking pan. And this is going to be the Decadent caramel pecan sauce to the sticky buns. This is so delicious. And once you're done that, you're going to set this aside for a moment. Once that's done, you can prepare your cinnamon sugar filling, which is 3/4 cups of brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon with an additional 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. You're going to stir this to combine until it's nice and well done. And you're going to set this aside until your dough is ready to be rolled out. Now, once your dough has doubled in size or it's risen for an hour to an hour and a half, you're going to grab your melted butter and your cinnamon sugar filling. Lightly flour a rolling surface, spreading out your flour evenly. You're going to grab your dough. You can see here that it has doubled in size, so just removing your plastic wrap and placing your dough directly onto your floured surface. And at first you just want to press down on it gently, flattening it out directly with your hands. You may need to add a little bit of flour as well because this is a little bit of a buttery dough, and you want to make sure that it's not sticking to your floured surface. And from here you can just go ahead and roll out your dough evenly to about 1/4 inch thick. And then you can go ahead and just trim off the sides, grab your melted butter and just paint it onto your dough, spreading it nice and evenly throughout. Now you can mix your butter and your cinnamon sugar mixture together and spread it on directly onto the dough if you want it. I have tried that, but I do like this method better. There's more cinnamon sugar, tasty filling when you spread the butter and then pour your cinnamon sugar on top, like I'm doing here. So once your butter is evenly spread, you're going to add on your cinnamon sugar, evenly spread it out, and then from one end you can start rolling the dough. Just gently rolling it into a rolled pin like this. And then you can go ahead and cut these into about 1 inch thick each. This will make about 9 rolls, cutting it 1 inch thick. And this is a little bit of what they look like. Once they're cut, they look so good. You're going to grab your baking pan with your caramel pecans in it and just directly place your rolls on top of this caramel pecan sauce, squishing them in together, but also giving them a little bit of space to grow because they are going to rise even bigger than this. Cover these gently with plastic wrap, and you're going to let these rise in a warm place for about half an hour to 45 minutes. Once your rolls are done rising, you're going to grab a piece of tin foil and lightly butter one side of it. And you're going to place this directly on top of the rolls. This is going to help the rolls not burn at the top while you're baking them, but also allow them not to stick to the tin foil. So just removing the plastic wrap and placing your tin foil on top. Preheating your oven to 350 degrees, and you're going to bake these for 22 minutes with the tin foil and an additional 6 to 7 minutes without. Now everyone's oven is different, so keep an eye out on these, but baking them a little bit without the tin foil gives them that nice golden brown crispy edge at the top. So once they're done baking, you do want to let these cool at least for like 5 to 10 minutes. I know it's really hard, but you want to let them set a little bit so that they don't fall apart. And then you want to grab a plate or a cutting board like I used here, and you're just going to gently flip them over just like so, and gently remove the parchment paper. Look at how good these look. And there you have ooey gooey, buttery, pillow soft caramel pecan sticky buns. It doesn't get better than this. These are so perfect for cinnamon roll lovers and for the holidays, or just for a sweet treat. If you like this recipe, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. And let me know what kind of recipes you want more of in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.